So welcome, guys, for the next 1 hour or thereabout, maximum an hour and 30 minutes. I'll be sharing knowledge on designing and implementing Azure Express routes. Welcome, guys. It's always a pleasure to have you guys around and to join our Azure community with knowledge sharing and also with learning one or two things on Azure. Uh, I I do believe the election is going well in Nigeria for those of you who have voted. So that's where most of our audience is coming from. So without further ado, I'll proceed with the presentation. So if you're new to Azure or you know one or two things on Azure, ExpressRoute is basically uh, how you want to connect to a private network or on how you want to connect privately in a high secured way to an environment, to a workload or running an Azure. So think of it like a network gateway. Say you want to connect, say from on-prem to the Azure cloud, and that's one of a transit point, a connectivity point that gives you access to the private workload environment on Azure. And that constitutes network security group, VNets, subnets, and all those kind of things. So today I'll be sharing knowledge on exploring Azure Express routes, designing the deployment of an Express route, and an exercise on how to configure an Express route. And then further on, an exercise on provisioning an Express route circuit, configuring peering on Express route deployment. Then further on, would uh, look at how to connect ExpressRoute circuits to a VNet, connecting geographical dispersed networks, and then further on. Is any of you new to Azure? I just want to know how deep I will go or how to simplify things and stuff. Anyone new to ExpressRoute or Azure networking capabilities? Samson Adebayo, welcome. Okay, cool. Uh, uh, Olutife. Okay, I think let me see how to balance it. Yeah, okay. So if you have any question, you can shoot. You can shoot on the chat, share on the chat, and I will respond while I present. So yeah. So exploring express routes, Azure express routes. We'll look at express route capabilities, understanding use cases. So there are different use cases for express routes, express route connectivity models, design considerations for express route deployments, bidirectional forwarding detection, configuring inscription over express routes, creating a zone redundant VNet gateway in Azure availability zones, and then we'll take a review. So Express Route is kind of a high level, high SLA connectivity networking capabilities with a layer 3 connectivity with redundancies. It connects you to various regions within Azure. So as you know, Azure has a lot of regions across the world, and it offers a kind of a premium add-on connectivity with global scale. Goes across on-premises connectivity with ExpressRoute's global reach. Someone is joining. Bandwidth options from 50 Mbps to 100 Gbps. And then it has different billing models, which you can meter based on your requirements and based on your use cases. So we look at the kind of use cases. So say, for instance, you want a fast and reliable connectivity to Azure services You want to have a storage, a backup and recovery, and also say you want to extend your data center capabilities. How say you have you have an on-prem server center and you have another cloud data center. How do you want to connect? And also say you have workloads, different workload across different data centers. So that of Microsoft or AWS or on-prem, how are you going to connect quickly with less redundancy and high latency? With low latency. How are you going to connect? ExpressRoute offers you an option to connect seamlessly, very fast, and then with high throughput. The SLA offers up to from 5.997%. You have a private connection to Microsoft Cloud. There are kind of built-in redundant circuits, border gateway protocols, and it integrates with existing multi-protocol level switchings. So kind of a diagram for that. So you have the Microsoft Azure Cloud, and this is ExpressRoute, and this is kind of a protocol, an environment you can do a cloud exchange for co-locations. So you have like point-to-point internet connections, and say you have like a WAN environment. So the connection, say kind of your network topology, you connect through an ExpressRoute you set up. Within that ExpressRoutes, there are kind of network security groups defined that conforms to an IP addresses defined. Within that, there's a network security groups with IPs, VNets, and protocols defined by you, in which anybody that wants to connect or data center that needs to connect have to abide by that or have to conform to that in order to connect. So the kind of the design considerations for ExpressRoute's deployments. So using a service provider, so you can use service providers to enable fast onboarding and connectivity into existing infrastructure. Or you can also use, this requires, with the ExpressRoute Direct, you can require like 100 Gbps to 10 Gbps infrastructure and a full management of all layers. You can integrate with hundreds of providers, including Ethernet and NPVLs. With ExpressRoute Direct, you can direct and dedicated capabilities with regulated industries and massive data injection. So, and that's and that goes further with other capabilities offered, and that based on your requirements. So, if you say you drop a network use case based on the throughput you want to have, the level of throughput you have, and uptimes you want to have, these are the design considerations you can look at in deploying your ExpressRoutes. So next, we look at kind of a bidirectional forwarding detection with ExpressRoute private peering. So what is peering in itself? So peering is like you have an Azure environment regions. So you have a workload running on, say, West Europe, and a workload that is configured and running on a resource group, so based in Northern Europe. And you own all this, and this all running on one tenant. So you want to connect seamlessly that these this resource group workloads to have to connect to each other. How do you enable that? And that's called peering. And you got people peering, private peering. So private peering, you define the IPs for this peering, and then the subnet for this peering, and then for the peering to work, there shouldn't be an overlapping IPs. So from the source to the destination environment. So you can also configure an inscription on the ExpressRoutes. So for extra security, so kind of ExpressRoutes private PRN VPN connection over ExpressRoutes. You have like a visual hub and then an on-premise network. and you can enable a VPN connection network on it. So a VPN connection is a visual private network. So gives extra security, private connectivity. So you have like a point to site or site to site. So point to site could be you're connecting your device. You're working for a company. You connect your device to the organization's server, or when you're at the office. So site to site, or you can do to point to site. You say you're working from home, something like that. You have to connect to the VPN protocol of the organization, and that's what something you can do as well. And that goes through the back end, the backbone, via ExpressRoute to the servers you want to access belonging to the company. So the site, like I said, site to site ExpressRoute, you define, so you have like a private IPs. So you have a VNet N, VNet 1, and that goes through ExpressRoute gateway. And these IPs should not overlap with the IP receiving. And you have like kind of tunnel ways, the on-premises environments, the IPs, and have to conform. So you have two separate virtual network gateways required for the same VNet. So you can use the S2X VPN as a secure failover part for ExpressRoute. So failover is like, say you have an you have a VNet and that goes through one rack. So in a data center, when one rack fails, it fails over to another rack. That's kind of the protocol, the idea about that. So failover to another rack. So if say something happens in the data center of Microsoft and one rack is affected, immediately there's a failover for site reliability. Yes, I will share the PowerPoint presentation later. So someone was asking a question. Yeah. So next, so like creating a zone redundant VNet gateway in Azure availability zones. So what is Azure availability zones? Availability zones are like you want an high uptime, high throughput, high load latency. You have to configure, so like having VMs, you configure different regions, and you have like a 3 VMs configured in different availability zones. So one, availability zone 1, 2, 3. So you want uptime, high up down. So say, for instance, something happened in one zone, you will still have availability, uptime, high uptime on availability 2 and 3. That is what's called Azure availability zone. So you can create a zone redundant VNet gateway. So the gateway protocols guards through, say, for instance, a gateway that makes sure that, okay, when zone 1 fails, zone 2 carries all the load. Or if zone 2 fails, zone 3 carries all the load to ensure high uptime. So knowledge check, we've shown how to connect your on-premises network to the Microsoft global network by using ExpressRoute. We also showed how to configure network for your virtual machines. So if you want more, you can ask question later. I could tell you more about it. Next is designing ExpressRoute deployments. So design concepts on ExpressRoute. So we'll look at ExpressRoute's SKUs and tiers, how to choose a peering location, and how to select the right ExpressRoute circuit and billing model. And that comes with a demonstration and a review. You have the ExpressRoute, and there's a configuration. So if you log into the Azure portal environment, you will now, after selecting the basics configuration, you define the port type, provider or direct. So as we showed earlier, you can choose provider. So you can create new one, or you can choose one. So you can select create new. I defined the provider. Select SKU, so the level, so you have local, standard, and premium. So based on these SKUs, different SKUs have different pricing tiers. And the billing model, so you have like unlimited or metered. So you can choose to allow classic operations or not. So the standard SKU kind of gives you access to all regions in a geopolitical area, whereas the premium SKU provides support for more than 4 gig routes with ability to connect to more than 10 visual networks. The local SKU provides free egress data transfer and gives you access to only 1 or 2 Azure regions in the same area as your circuit. So this is kind of the Microsoft locations across the globe. So you can define peering. So know that a rule of thumb is that you need to connect or have your workload to run closer to where you're located geographically for latency purposes. So you say you're based in Nigeria, and if there's no data center in Nigeria, you need to find the closest part data centers to connect and to do your peering as well. So then you have to choose the right ExpressRoute circuits and billing model. So you can choose metered or unlimited data plan. So each option comes with a cost parameter. You choose the bandwidth. You can also increase the gate size, but that decreases without service outage. And the prices varies per region and also per zone. That's how Microsoft does. So, say for instance, you want to compute a VM on a network, different regions have different prices. And it's funny that regions, for instance, say you want to connect. You're in Nigeria and you want to connect, say, for instance, to an environment, say in Spain, for instance. The cost is different. For the same resource, the cost is different. So when you want to connect it to, say, the same resource in a data center or in a region in US. That's how Microsoft does pricing and stuff. So demonstration, we review and deploy ExpressRoute circuits, review and deploy ExpressRoute's gateway. Knowledge check. When you click on this link, you find how to design for high availability, extend an on-premises network using ExpressRoutes, and you can look at the Azure Architecture Center. So next exercise is to show how to configure an ExpressRoute gateway. So what is an ExpressRoute gateway? It's kind of the parameter or the intersection between 2 environments. So you have an on-prem data center or on-prem workload and the cloud workload, or one cloud workload, say AWS, to another workload running on Azure. So first you have to create the VNet and create the gateway subnet, then create the visual network gateway. So you have the on-premises network with the protocol. So you have like 3 servers here, and this is the gateway, the protocol, and we have like a routers in it. This ExpressRoute. So to get into this environment, there's ExpressRoute configuration with an ExpressRoute circuit, and that goes on the Microsoft Edge routers. And then you define the VNets and subnet, the gateway subnets. So you may have like 4 subnets or 6, depending on the kind of workload. So the number of subnets you have will depend on kind of workload and the size of the workload you want to run. So with that, you define a IP address range, and those IPs will not overlap between the source and the destination. And then so you in this, there's the web tier, the business tier, and the data tier. These environments, these servers environments will have constitute a different subnets. Subnet 1, 2, 3. And these subnets, the IPs, private IPs, will not overlap with the VNet range. So next is provisioning and ExpressRoute circuits. So this exercise, you configure, create and provision an ExpressRoute circuits, retrieve your service keys, the provision and ExpressRoute circuit. So you go to Azure portal, you type in ExpressRoutes, you begin the configuration. So you define the port type, provider or direct, define create new or import from classic. We select create new, define provider, Equinix in this case, peering location, Seattle, and the bandwidth, define the bandwidth, and then the SKU and the billing model, as well as allow classic operation, yes or no. In our case, no. And then you click review and create. So a deployment will be done, and the ExpressRoute will be, in a couple of minutes, ExpressRoute will be configured. Likewise, you can also define these, configure, deploy these using ARM templates. Next, we'll look at configuring peering for an ExpressRoute deployment. So peering is like I said, how you're gonna connect or allow two environments to talk to each other, to share workload or to communicate. We'll look at configuring private peering, how to configure Microsoft peering, and then choosing between private peering, Microsoft peering, or both. And we'll look at router filters, and then we'll look at a review. So private peering, you define the ASN, kind of a pair of subnets. So private peering, kind of a set of subnets that talk to each other, but then the IPs will not overlap. So one subnet will be used for the primary link, while the other will be used for the secondary link. So you will need a valid on-prem VLAN ID to establish this peering on. So you could see the IPs defined here. So we're using both. We define the primary subnets and the secondary subnets. And then you define also for the private subnets and also the secondary subnet. So you can see these IPs are not overlapping. They shouldn't overlap to each other. Whereas you know that the subnets are deduced, the subnet range are deduced from the VNet range. It's called a subset of the VNets. So for configuring Microsoft peering, you define same protocol, same approach, and then you click on save. So choosing between private peering only, Microsoft peering only, or both. So you have the customer's network or your environment. You have the edge, and then you have, say, the ExpressRoute circuits. So you have, let's say, Microsoft peering for Office 365, Dynamics, or public cloud, Azure public cloud, public services, or you have the Azure private peering for virtual networks. And this goes to the Microsoft Edge. So for this Office 365 workloads, Azure, you have like Hadoop, you have like Office 365, you have virtual machines, you have storage account. I have like other workload resources in there. And you have another virtual machines that is locked down via VNet. So the VNet, within the VNet, this cloud environments, there's a network security group defined that protects it. So next is creating router filter and creating router filter rules. So what are rules? So you say, for instance, you have a VNet VNet environment, or you have like ExpressRoute configured. ExpressRoute has a set of network security group. The network security group is where you define uh, protocols, what connects to what, and what priorities. So it's okay if you say, I want to say connect the Azure Active Directly with the so-called IPs, stocks, and destination. And you now define it and then pair it up to the hub, the hub network hub environment. So you can manage rules, define rules, and you can have now give the rules based on what you want to connect. Say, for instance, you have like you want to connect a Power BI dashboard to say a visual machine workload, for instance, a VM. How do you want to allow that Power BI to have connected to the visual machine? You have defined the NSG and NSG rules or filter rules, for instance. So knowledge check is to, we have looked at Azure ExpressRoutes, we have looked at circuits and the pairing. Next is to connect an ExpressRoute circuit to a VNet. And we'll also look at the review on that. We'll review on that. So this is how to connect a visual network on ExpressRoute circuits. So you click on connection and click on add. Next, you would click on settings. On the settings, you have to define the virtual network gateway, define routing weight. In this case, no routing weight was selected. And then you click on review and create. Now, you will see that ExpressRoute's connection tab was used and the connection was succeeded. So next, we've seen how to circuit configuration workflow. So if you click on this link, you will get more documentation and more knowledge on what we have done. So next, we'll look at connecting geographically dispersed networks with ExpressRoute Global Reach. So we'll look at using cross-region connectivity to link multiple ExpressRoutes, choosing when to use ExpressRoute Global Reach, how to configure ExpressRoute's Global Reach, and then we take a review. So with the cross-regional connectivity to link multiple ExpressRoutes, you connectivity to all regions within a geopolitical region, say for instance, US West, UK South. The local connectivity with ExpressRoute local. And then you can also connect across on-premises connectivity with ExpressRoute Global Reach. So you have US West, this is the VNet range, 10.0.3.0/24. You have UK South with this VNet range. So you can connect seamlessly via, say, the ExpressRoute configured, and you have another environment here. So this you have like on-prem, these two on-prem environments. So likewise, you could connect across on-prem environments to UK South and to US West. Let's call it the pairing. But then the IPs should not overlap each other, or else the pairing would not work. So this is one of the good things of doing pairing or routing and stuff like that. So the ExpressRoute's global reach is designed to complement your service providers one. implementation and then connecting your branch offices across the world. So say, for instance, you want to do like a file sharing. You have a location, say, in Lagos. You have another location, say, in Port Harcourt, another location in Kano, and then you have locations in US, London. How can you do a file sharing internally through the backbone, through your network across these regions and countries? So you need to know how you're gonna set it up. So basically, you can also link ExpressRoute circuits together to make a private network between your on-premises networks. The next is configuring ExpressRoute global reach. You have a private peering, then you define the subnets, primary subnets, and secondary subnets. Then you have to add the global reach. And with the global reach, you have to define a unique name for your global reach. Then define the ExpressRoute circuits, which are then locations, and then define or give the global reach subnet. And then you click add. So we have seen how to connect to Microsoft Cloud using global reach. So if you click on this link, you'll get more information on that. So next, we'll look at improving data path performance between networks with ExpressRoute's fast paths. We'll look at ExpressRoute fast paths, configuring ExpressRoute's fast paths, and then with a review. So the ExpressRoute's visual network gateway is fast path is designed to improve the data paths performance between your on-premises environment and your visual networks. So it's the ExpressRoute visual network, as you can see, gateway is designed to exchange so network routes and routes network traffics. Then the first part is designed to improve the data part performance between your on-premises network and your visual network. So when you enable the first part, when you enable the first part, it sends network traffic directly to visual machines in the visual network by bypassing the gateway. So you can use PowerShell to configure the fast part. So you go with the get command, get Azure ExpressRoute circuit, and define name. You define the Express circuit name, and then the Express circuit name and the region, the name of the region. Then you will now use the get Azure Visual Network Gateway with the Visual Network Gateway name and the ROG name, the resource group name, and the connection string, connection name, and then you have to now define also the peer ID, the circuit ID, connection type, and then the location. So thank you. Mute wallet. Okay, cool. So we have shown how to connect ExpressRoute's fast paths. For more understanding, you can click on this link to get more Azure documentation on ExpressRoute's fast paths. So next is how to troubleshoot ExpressRoute connection issues. We verify circuit provisioning and state through the Azure portal, validate peering configurations, validate address resolution protocols, and then troubleshooting network performances, and then a review. So in verifying circuit provisioning and states, in the Azure portal, you can open the ExpressRoute circuit blade. So in the blade section, the ExpressRoute essentials are listed as shown in the following screenshot. You can see. So the ExpressRoute essential, the circuit status indicates the status of the circuit on the Microsoft side. And then the provider status indicates if the circuit has been provisioned, not provisioned, or on the service provider side. So for the ExpressRoute circuit to be operational, the circuit status must be enabled and the provider status must be provisioned. So how to reset a failed circuit? So when an operation on an ExpressRoute circuit doesn't completely successfully, the circuit may go into a failed state. So you could resolve this by using this kind of command. So you can first connect to the AZ account, use the get command on the subscription. You select the subscription, provide the subscription name. So you can now replace it, then you replace the subscription name to your own subscription name, and then you can use the get AZ ExpressRoute circuit name and the ExpressRoute armed circuit, the group resource group name, you give it, and then you now set the AZ ExpressRoute circuits. So when this is done, the circuit should now be healthy, or you can open a circuit, what do you call it, a support ticket based on the SLA you have with Microsoft support if the circuit is still failing. And often I think the Microsoft support often respond based on the SLA you signed with Microsoft. So next is how to validate PRM configurations. So you have the ExpressRoute circuits. You have the Azure private. You can see the status on the PRM provisioned, the primary subnets, the secondary subnets, and then you can see the timestamp on last modified by customer or the client or whatever. So next is the address resolution protocol, ARP. It's kind of a layer 2 protocol defined in RFS 826. The address resolution protocol is used to map the internet address. So the MAC address with an IP address. So you can troubleshoot network performance with Network Watcher using PowerShell and Azure CLI. So the Network Watcher or the PowerShell and the CLI can help with most network issues, and then you can analyze it. So you can see a screenshot of the PowerShell on a Network Watcher. You can see the network timestamps, the bandwidth, the connectivity, kind of the response on the network protocol. So to help with the troubleshooting, the Azure Connectivity Toolkit was developed to put some of these tools in an easy packaging. So with PowerShell, you can resolve this issue, and then these tools and methods are wrapped into a PowerShell model. So you can use it, and then you can install it and use it. So we have shown how to verify connectivity, troubleshoot connectivity issues. Also, you can look at the documentation when you click on this link. You can also look more documentation on how to use PowerShell to reset a failed circuit. So this image here, you can see has a few missing components that are marked by the magnifying glass icon. The object of this is to identify the right ExpressRoute components. This is the ExpressRoute. This is the network gateway. They have to get no subnets with a visual network and the network security group environment. So how can you identify the ExpressRoute components? So these the routers. So these are routers, and this is the connection gateway. So the solution is the customer edge routers, the partner edge router. So, and this is the Microsoft Enterprise Edge router. It's ExpressRoute. Yeah. So this is the end of our presentation. Any questions? I guess I went a little bit fast.
Hi, good day, Chioma.
Hi, Debayo.
Yeah, thanks for the wonderful presentation. So my question is like for some of us that because of the fact that Microsoft Azure they have the limitation on a monthly subscription of $200, and after the month, then it's one no longer has the free subscription. You can also opt for the pay as you go, which some of us are not able to kind of afford some of the costs on a monthly basis. So what advice do you, because some of these things now, there are some demos that we are supposed to go over and practice, and without subscription, we can't actually like to cement the knowledge properly. So what advice do you have for someone like me, and I guess some of us on the call, we might be facing things like this? How can we go about that issue? Thank
Okay, you could use jump box. Of Microsoft have this simulated lab environment. If you go to Microsoft Learn, there are like some lab environment are stimulated and provisioned for you to do a demo or run if you don't have an Azure credit. You can use that and try it out. Also, with say you have a free voucher or you have a Azure credit, after you use it, some services are still free for the next 12 months, which you can still use. But mostly, when you look at Microsoft Learn, there are like stimulated lab environments with time limits. You could spin up and do some practice if you don't have an Azure voucher or Azure pass. Or alternatively, you could create a new Azure login, and then access and then use up another credit, free credit. Or you can attend, for instance, presentation events. There's some presentations offered by communities in Azure that gives free Azure credits, which you can use to burn it and then try one or two things in Azure portal.
Okay, thank you very much.
Welcome. Yeah. With time, we'll be giving also of the plan that we'll giving like a free vouchers, which we will get from Microsoft for the Azure community, which we can give around for people to use. But that comes with a time limit. You have to use it. If you don't use it, then it expires out. Any other question? I hope you guys voted today. So how was the experience with voting for those who voted? I will be sharing the slide later. So you can, it's quite very handy, very informative, and you can practice things for yourself. Hi, Wole, how you doing? Shegun Bashiru, Bashiru Barry, Ezekiel Adebayo.
Chigo, thank you very much. I'm fine. I just got you mentioning my name, so I had to respond to that. You're doing a great job. God bless you. Thank you very much. And I would also appreciate if you can share the presentation as you promised as well. I'm very interested in it. Though I joined this meeting late, just joined about 10, 15 minutes ago. I apologize for that.
No worries, I'll do that. It's a pleasure to have you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, guys, if there's no other question, we'll call it a day. It's a pleasure having you guys. Like I said, in the upcoming events, I would share giving Azure voucher credits for people to use to make it more interactive and to make it allow people more to practice things in the cloud. So enjoy evening, enjoy weekend. Have a nice day. Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Thank you, Chigo. Bye, everyone.
Bye, guys. You too.